Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're diving straight into a scientifically proven learning framework that's going to completely dismantle those exhausting, totally ineffective study habits we've all fallen back on. If you've ever felt like you're putting in massive amounts of effort, but just not seeing the results you actually deserve, well, let's figure out exactly why that's happening.
Okay, picture this. You study for literally hours, right? You sit down, crack open your laptop, read your textbook for hours on end, and you're feeling super productive. But then, test day arrives. You look at the paper, and suddenly, your mind goes completely blank. It is unbelievably frustrating. You feel like you're working so hard, pushing yourself right to the edge of academic burnout, but the payoff just isn't there.
And man, that exhaustion is so real. You know the saying, right? Burnout isn't loud at first. It whispers before it screams. For Gen Z learners especially, school doesn't just stop when you leave the classroom. We are living in this always-on educational environment. Every assignment, every online module, every single deadline is constantly demanding your attention. Feeling completely drained? That isn't laziness. It's not a lack of discipline. It's actually a completely normal, shared human response to long-term pressure without enough recovery time.
So here's our roadmap for today. We're going to cover the illusion of competence, the power of active recall, spaced repetition, AI and active learning, and finally, systems for better focus.
All right, let's jump right into Section 1, the illusion of competence, and exactly why passive reading fails us. Think about how we're usually taught to study. Those traditional, time-consuming methods often totally backfire. Take passive reading versus active recall, for example. Passive reading, your standard rereading and highlighting everything in bright yellow. It creates a massive illusion of learning. Your brain just recognizes familiar words and essentially tricks you into mistaking that basic recognition for actual deep knowledge. Active recall, on the other hand, means forcing your brain to retrieve info without any prompts. It feels a lot harder, and yeah, you might struggle, but that struggle is absolutely crucial. It's exactly what builds lasting retrieval pathways in your brain.
Get this, research actually shows that students who rely on rereading overestimate their learning by a whopping 30 to 50%. This is the exact reason why you feel so confident while you're studying in your room, but then completely panic during the exam. Your brain recognized the highlighted pages, sure, but it couldn't actually recall the information from scratch when it mattered.
Moving right along to Section 2, the power of active recall and why testing yourself really works.
Cognitive science is basically our ultimate secret weapon for long-term retention. Active recall is the act of forcing your brain to pull up information without looking at your notes at all. Scientists call this desirable difficulty. So when you're really struggling to remember something, you aren't failing. That discomfort, that mental friction you're feeling, that is the exact mechanism cementing the memory. It's kind of like walking through an overgrown forest. The more you force yourself to walk a specific path, the clearer and more permanent that trail becomes.
And when we look at the data over time, the contrast is just mind-blowing. After 24 hours, passive reading drops your retention to about 40 to 50%, while active recall holds strong at up to 80%. But check out the 1 week mark. Passive reading falls off an absolute cliff, down to just 10 to 15%. Meanwhile, active recall maintains a super solid 60 to 70% retention. The science is overwhelming here, guys. Testing yourself works, and rereading just doesn't.
Okay, so how do we actually do this in real life? I've got 3 practical blueprints for you. First up is the blank page method. Literally right after you read a chapter, close the book and brain dump every single thing you remember onto a blank page. Second, use flashcards, but ditch those simple vocabulary words. You want to use meaningful, complex questions that force you to explain how concepts actually connect. And third, the Feynman technique. Try explaining the concept out loud as if you were teaching it to a complete beginner. The exact second you stumble, boom, you've instantly found the gap in your knowledge.
All right, Section 3, spaced repetition. It's time to schedule your memory.
If active recall is how we build memory, spaced repetition is when we do it. Imagine your brain is this massive library. Spaced repetition is the perfect catalog system. It means reviewing information at increasingly longer intervals. Doing this interrupts what scientists call the forgetting curve. So instead of cramming all your studying into one brutal 8-hour block the night before, you strategically time your reviews for the exact moment you're about to forget the information. It literally tells your brain, hey, this is super important, keep this in long-term storage. To pull this off, try the 2357 method. It's basically reverse planning. You grab your calendar and work backward from your exam date. You plan your final review for exactly 1 day before the test. Your previous session,
2 days before that. The one before that is 3 days prior, then 5 days, then 7 days. By spacing out your reviews like this, you consistently interrupt that forgetting curve, and you do it without burning yourself out in those awful marathon study sessions.
And the payoff for all this? 40%. Students who mix active recall with these spaced intervals spend 40% less total time studying compared to those who cram. Think about that. You study significantly less, but you remember vastly more. It is literally the ultimate efficiency hack.
Let's move into Section 4, AI and Active Learning, where we build a digital brain. To keep things sustainable, you've got to build what's called a second brain ecosystem. This lets your actual brain focus purely on thinking instead of struggling to store a million random facts. It's a 4-layer setup. Layer 1 is your inbox, where you capture raw notes and ideas the second they happen. Layer 2, your class vaults. Have one for each subject, where all your organized knowledge lives. Layer 3 is the project hub for active essays or assignments. And Layer 4 is your archive for past notes. Guys, if you dedicate just 5 minutes a day to moving things from your inbox into your vaults, you completely relieve your brain of the mental burden of trying to remember where you saved that one specific PDF.
Once your notes are nice and organized, you can bring in AI, like ChatGPT, as your own personal tutor. But here's the trick. Don't just dump a massive prompt on it. Use a multi-step prompting framework. Step 1, ask it to highlight key concepts. Step 2, have it expand on specific stages. Step 3, ask it to generate a quiz specifically for your active recall practice. And Step 4, have it create a final essay question. Breaking the process down into sequential steps prevents the AI from losing context and gives you incredibly customized study materials. And finally, Section 5, Systems for Better Focus. We have to protect our attention.
Because let's be real, the best active recall techniques in the world won't work if you simply can't focus. Have you heard of body doubling? It's becoming a super popular technique. It just means doing a potentially boring or frustrating task, like studying or cleaning your room, in the presence of someone else. You don't even have to be talking to them. Just having another person in the room or even just on a silent FaceTime call provides this gentle accountability that completely anchors you to the present moment. It's an amazing way to combat the isolation that usually tags along with academic burnout.
Let's rapid fire through some other essential focus habits. First up, keep your phone in a completely different room. Seriously, studies show that just having your phone visible, even if it's completely turned off, literally drains your cognitive capacity. Second, use Pomodoro blocks. Study for 25 to 50 minutes and then take a real, actual 5 to 10 minute break. Your brain is not built to go for 4 hours straight. Third, switch on airplane mode if you don't actually need the internet. And lastly, text a friend to tell them you're studying for the next 2 hours. Having that social accountability really works wonders.
I want to leave you with this one final provocative thought. What would your education look like if it was driven by actual curiosity instead of just the constant fear of falling behind? Academic burnout usually happens when learning just turns into this endless transactional race. But by actively applying the tools we talked about today, testing yourself instead of just rereading, spacing out your study sessions, and setting up real systems to protect your focus, you can totally redefine your success. Give yourself permission to prioritize balance. Study smarter, build real, durable knowledge, and make learning genuinely fascinating again. Thanks so much for exploring this explainer with me today. Go start building these habits right now.